Hi there. Welcome back to the Crossroads. Told y'all I was going to be back with an audio clippy. Well, not a like a clippy, but it's basically a whole ass video, but um so yeah, I did say I wanted to start my little series. Um I'm still a little bit confused on like how to label this, what it is that I'm doing or what I'm trying to do. So I'm gonna just, I guess, give you a sort of overview, like describing what it is that I do. And I don't know, semantic reader, word energy reader, word magic, word alchemist, something, something. We'll see. I don't know. It might come to me organically one day, but um so I mentioned this a little bit in my last video, but I'll just kind of recap. There's an energy reader, amazing energy reader, incredible channel, Salt, SALT period on YouTube. Her readings are spookily accurate. If that's the kind of content that you like, definitely go ahead and check her out. Big inspiration for me. And one of the videos that she put out, I think it was closer to last week, maybe almost 2 weeks ago. She was playing around with definitions, and I'm really only paraphrasing here. She kind of towards the end basically told us go ahead and play around with these words for yourself. Um, she said, I will give you the definition of this specific word in context to, like your current situation in this reading. But I went ahead and took the liberty of doing exactly that. And the word she was um, focusing on was test. The word test, TEST. And I realized I guess I've always been the kind of person that was drawn to words. I would hyper fixate on specific words that people would use in really specific moments. Mm. And at first, I thought it was a weakness, um, especially since I started noticing that there are a lot of different words that activate my body. I hate saying the word trigger, but because I don't like the way that that's overused. Um, but I realized, at least in my life, and maybe I think that this might be true for other nervous systems. I don't think I'm the only one, that there are really specific words that kind of send you soaring back through time and not in the most pleasant way. Um, but I wanted to hone in on that. And I was like, I think I'm touching on something here. I think there's a superpower in this. And I was reminded of this, my love for words, not just through my writing, but I really like reading the guidebooks that come with my oracle and tarot decks. And sometimes, certain sentences, they sound a little harsh. They sound like like you're being scolded a little bit, and that that's definitely not the intention, but it's the timing and it's the connotations that certain words carry. And I know that we've all not all of us, that we is a lot of people, but I know some of us have experienced that in our lives where very specific words were used against us or for us in really specific moments of our lives. And those words were used with enough frequency that they live now inside of us. They live now in the nervous system. And we're not always aware of tracking in real time when we're activated, because we're so good at overriding our biology. And that's how a lot of us end up shutting down or in arguments. So yeah. I don't know what I would label myself as, and I'm not trying to say that everything is a symbol, like in this vague way. More precisely, I wrote down a few notes for myself. I feel that words are compressed experiences. Their words are living things. They carry history. Words carry sensation and use. The words carry distortion, and above all things, words carry power, different kinds of power. So when I'm reading, I guess, words or the energy of words, I'm not just reading definitions alone. I'm tracking how meaning moves through words, through us. So I guess this is like I don't know, like a sort of throat chakra thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be mystical. It doesn't have to be woo, but I like woo. I do a lot. And so I guess what I'm focusing on is, or like my angle is more embodied, trauma aware, and it's definitely lived, definitely a little personal, you know? So I hope you don't mind, because I don't. Um, and again, just, I know this is kind of sloppy. It's my first one, but just an overview of of this practice that I do. I take a word, I study its formal definition. I look it up. I got my sources. Don't worry. I extract the structure. I kind of strip it down, and then I translate that word into lived experience. And then I end up refining my own definition in that way. So it doesn't always have to, you don't have to take my definition as gospel. It just, if it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, leave it alone. Or you go ahead and experiment and play around with words. I feel like we should encourage each other to do that more often, because I feel like growing up, especially in school, we're taught words and we're told to sort of just take that definition for what it is, and that's it. And then society, starts using these words in really specific ways. And I think we naturally already do this. We take certain words and we kind of just plug them in wherever we feel is necessary, or especially when we're emotional. And so what I want to do for you guys is just redefine words, and encourage you to redefine words that are especially painful, or and I started paying attention. I was like, where do certain words hit like particular body parts of mine? Like, does the word commitment make my head swirl? Does the word responsibility make my chest tighten? Does the word test make my stomach churn? Things like that. And again, I really saw that as a like a flaw, like a deficit at one point. I was like, my God, I'm so sensitive. What's wrong with me? Every little word is, God, I feel like a raw nerve. But I was like, all right, let's start paying attention to that. I think there's something here. I think I'm touching on something. So, that being said, I wanted to look at the word test today. So I went ahead and looked up the definition for test across sources like Merriam-Webster, Oxford English Dictionary, and a test is described specifically as this: a way of measuring skill, capacity, or function, right? A procedure used to identify or evaluate something. A critical examination or basis for judgment. An ordeal or trial. And also, and I really like this last one, this is where I drew my two definitions from. So a situation that reveals the quality, performance, or reliability of something, especially under strain. Okay, right. So taking all of that in, sat with it for a little while, and I took my notes, got down what I needed to, and I realized, okay, we can split this into maybe two definitions of test that helped me understand it in a way that I could apply to real life. So, and not just academically, but relationally, among humans, to myself. Now, the first definition that I came up with is a bit more structural, but I feel that it's important to share. A test is any consequence, organized or chaotic, internal or external, that reveals the quality, performance, and reliability of a person, place, or thing, especially prior to integration or continued use, right? But then I refined that even further because I was like, okay, what does this look like inside of a living human being doing life? Okay. And now the second one became a test is any consequence arising within given conditions that reveals the reliability of a system through the decisions it makes under activation. And this is where it clicked for me, because take something like drinking, okay? My drinking. I'm gonna put it out there. Me being offered alcohol, or me even thinking about drinking, or me being in an environment where I could even sneak it, that's not the test. Those are the conditions. That's just simply the weather happening around me, the weather that I'm currently in. Again, either me being offered the alcohol, me thinking about numbing myself with it, or being in an environment where I can grab it myself. Those are the conditions. Now, the test is what happens inside of those conditions, meaning I become internally activated. And that activation for me is the craving, is that fuck it feeling. I'm going to go for it. The urge to then keep going. But those are not the activation. That is not the test either. That's simply my system responding. That is data. It's not failure and it's not success. It's not something we can moralize, even though people want to. My system responding is just information. So I'm going to break down the structure because this is where it became clear for me. Conditions is what is presented. Activation is how my system then responds. And then decision is what I do next. And this is important, so stay with me. Okay. So the liquor or the beer is not the measurement. And my activation is not the measurement. My decision is the measurement. And that's closer to where the test is. So when I combine those definitions into something I can actually live by, it turns now into this. Okay. Conditions create my activation. That activation creates the opportunity for decision making. And then the decision I make reveals my reliability. And I'm going to loop back to what I mean by reliability just in a second. So the goal is it's never I never feel the urge. That's unrealistic. Okay. The shift is when the urge comes, I make a different decision. And that changes the whole ball game. Okay, because now I don't have to demonize the environment I'm in. And I also don't have to shame my own activation. So I can basically just focus on my response under pressure. And that is where change actually happens. That is where actual nervous system rewiring occurs. Right? It's not in avoiding every possible condition and trigger forever, because that's not even healthy, you know? But it's in becoming more reliable in my decisions when that activation occurs inside of me. And this is where I started to notice something else. Stay with me. When I put the word test next to the word bond, right? Because at some point in this note taking, something is, I don't know, it was just something came to me. The word bond, bonding. And I was like, absolutely, we can bond with a substance, just the way we trauma bond with people. Because a bond is something that connects, it holds, and it builds trust over time, even if it's twisted. So I realized, okay, so tests don't just measure you, they actually shape your bond with yourself through that thing that activated you, through the conditions, right? So every time I move through a test, I'm either strengthening trust with myself or I'm weakening trust within myself. So the relationship, the real relationship being tested isn't just me versus the condition. It's also me in relationship with myself. And over time, my decisions become my bond. I don't know why that came to me. My word is my motherfucking bond. I don't know if you remember that line from that one Jim Carrey movie. I think it was I love you, Philip Morris. So my decisions become my bond, are my bond with myself in relation to the conditions that are around me. I know I sound like a broken record, but so this isn't about perfection. That we know that that's not the goal. It's about building a system where I can trust myself under pressure. Oh boy. Yeah, because that's not easy. That's not even fun developing that. But because once a bond is strong enough, at least the bond with myself, then that means I don't have to control everything around me, or I don't have to feel like I have to control everything around me. I just know that when the moment comes, when the temptation presents itself, mhm, I'm gonna show up in a way that I can stand by. And that's what reliability is. It's a sort of it's consistency, but it's not about getting it right every single time though. You feel me? It's about being able to see clearly, so discernment, then deciding consciously, and that requires remaining aware, which can feel painful, and then building trust with myself over time without collapsing into shame. Hmm? Because shame doesn't help us grow. Shame freezes the nervous system. But when I strip down words like this, it leaves this like a sort of open field of neutrality where I can then have enough room to be compassionate with myself, and compassion is what keeps the nervous system adaptive and moving, flowing, water. Yeah. And test, T-E-S-T, test. The universe is testing me. That hot coworker was testing me. That cheeseburger be testing me, you know? I was tested. Yeah, you motherfucking right you were. Yeah, you were tested. But let's complete what that means. And I hopefully that made your chest deflate a little bit. Maybe you don't feel as much friction anymore inside of yourself when you hear or use the word test. Maybe you'll start using it a little differently, or hearing it differently, and I really hope that's what happens. So now I have a list of words for myself, about 5 words, because I got really excited the other night, and I almost wrote down about 20 different words. And word over here, word over there. And I was like, no, no, no. Let's pull it back, pull it back. Let's stick to maybe just 5 words. And now, so the next word I want to focus on for the next video is responsibility. Ooh, that word didn't sit right with me. Sometimes, like when I read it, I'm telling you, in certain oracles, like guidebooks, I'm like, oh, girl, what you mean responsibility? Like I feel so much weight behind the word responsibility. It feels burdensome in a way. So I'll play around with that word, but I want to go ahead and include you guys as well. Um, if there are any words that you guys feel activated by, or words that you're curious about, or words that you're still confused about, or words that you maybe need a little bit of help with, like redefining, definitely let me know. Put it down in the comments. I would absolutely love that. Um, but thank you for stopping by. Like, share, subscribe if you think that this is something that you're rocking with. Um, stay safe, stay weird, stay humble, stay blessed, stay tuned. And yeah, I will see you at the crossroads. Bye.